I'm Adrian, the Cruise and Travel Guy, and it looks like the Port of Brisbane will be in the middle of a tropical cyclone in just a couple of days' time, but the effects of it are already being felt, with Queen Anne, the cruise ship that just arrived in Australia for the first time, having to divert from its scheduled stop in Brisbane today, and it continued north past it. So let's talk about what's coming up this week and whether it may or may not have an effect on your cruise. Remember, when it's time to plan your next holiday, head to my website first, where you can search, compare, and book. Cunard's newest ship, Queen Anne, was due to dock in Brisbane for the first time this morning. Coming just days after her maiden visit to Sydney, she's currently sailing on her first ever world cruise. The ship only launched in May last year. However, thanks to Tropical Cyclone Alfred, there is a major swell event occurring near the Port of Brisbane, which has caused for the port to be closed to all incoming shipping movements. This is true as of yesterday afternoon, and as at the moment, there have been no further updates to whether or not the port will remain closed. Tropical Cyclone Alfred is currently a Category 2 and is expected to make landfall later this week, potentially around Thursday. Just where it makes landfall is still up for debate, although most forecasts have that occurring between far north New South Wales and Bundaberg in Queensland. For those of you cruising this week, then that does mean that there could potentially be an impact. It's a particularly busy week for the Port of Brisbane as well, with Pacific Encounter, Norwegian Sun, Carnival Luminosa and Quantum of the Seas all scheduled on successive days beginning tomorrow. Pacific Encounter is the first ship scheduled to arrive tomorrow in the Port of Brisbane, and the cruise line has even confirmed that the cruise as scheduled tomorrow will be going ahead at this stage. The cruise line has asked all booked passengers to arrive at the terminal as originally planned. And just minutes ago, Carnival released a statement advising that it is monitoring Tropical Cyclone Alfred and will provide updates via email to all agents and booked guests. The official advice from Carnival is do not proceed to the Brisbane port until you have received confirmation regarding the operational plans for your voyage. I imagine that this is in line with the advice that will soon come from other cruise lines. Of course, this is an incredibly scary time for anyone living in that region, much more so than the worries about a cruise or a holiday, but it's still something of importance to note. So as much as we don't yet know what is coming this week in terms of impacts to cruise schedules, I can't imagine it's going to be anything good. My advice in the next couple of days is to keep a very keen eye on your email inbox. If there are any changes, your cruise line will advise you directly via email, potentially even text message. Check your spam and junk folders always as well. For those of you living in these areas, please stay safe, be careful. Obviously, I hope that this storm doesn't eventuate the way that it's forecast to. And for everyone that's traveling, just keep an eye on your inbox and obviously speak to the cruise line if you have not heard anything. If you do have a travel insurance policy, now is the time to check, and you should always have a travel insurance policy. Now is the time to check your PDS and double check it to make sure that if you are covered for any sort of natural disaster events, this would potentially fall under that, but you'll just have to wait and see how things come out this week. And obviously, you may or may not be impacted. That's all for this update. Unfortunately, there's not much more information at this stage. Feel free to stay in touch on Facebook at the Cruise and Travel Guy and Instagram. If anything is publicized by the cruise lines themselves, then I will republish or reshare that information. And hopefully it's smooth sailing, but might not be based on all of that. Thanks as always for watching. Feel free to give me a follow on Facebook and Instagram, and I will see you soon.